Welcome to Breakout Investors. Today we are excited to be speaking with the management of Locafy, ticker LCFY, specifically the company's CEO, Gavin Burnett, on their current and new product offerings. Joining me on today's call are Breakout Investors Bryan, Robson, and Florian Buschek. This call is being recorded on December 15th, 2024, and will be distributed via the Breakout Investor YouTube channel and our Substack network. Supporting materials and post-call analysis will be posted on the Breakout Investors Collaboration app, available on the app stores and at breakoutinvestors.com. The application and much of the research content is free. We also invite you to join our WhatsApp community, which is linked in our YouTube profile. So let's get the call started by me handing it over to Gavin for a quick presentation, and we will then have Q&A followed by Bryan and Florian. Gavin?
Thanks, Josh. And firstly, thanks for having me on with the Breakout Investor Group. It's really appreciated. As we discussed a few weeks back, we thought it would be a nice way to present our product offerings that we're taking forward into 2025. I guess the key message here is that it's really an evolution of our product base. There's nothing overly new that you guys wouldn't have seen, but perhaps it might be useful to take you through exactly what we do, what the products are designed to do for clients, and how we're going. So what does Locafy really do? What we offer are publishing solutions that are powered by proprietary SEO technology that deliver online visibility faster at a lower cost. And the great thing is these products, these solutions work in all of the key markets that we've tried. And if you look at what is the goal of any business, what they're really trying to do is to reach customers online for people that are looking for what they do and what they sell. And historically, that's been a very complex, time-consuming and expensive process for many business owners. And at Locafy, we've developed publishing solutions that are fast-acting and cost-effective. And our core product suite includes business listing syndication and publishing. We produce SEO-rich landing pages. We help businesses optimize their Google business profile and boost their presence. And you would have been well across the fact that we've created some pretty stunning article-based technology where we can both create and publish and gain prominence for articles in key markets. Here's the big problem for any business anywhere in the world. The fact is that they're ultimately located in one place, but their customers are all around them. So the challenge is, how do they get more customers to find them? Search is roughly 50-50 local and national. So local search is super important. Around 46% of all searches for local products and services. And interestingly, within 24 hours of a search, about 90% of those customers that are searching will enter into some sort of interaction with the business, whether it's simply visiting them, buying them, and calling them, or doing something like that. So local search is a highly transactional and commercial in basis. And the things that Google are looking for really boil down to three core things. And anyone can go onto Google and check this out just to see that it's entirely true. The three things it's looking for are relevancy. How relevant is your business to the searches that people are putting into Google? How close is your business? This applies to local. How close is your business to the person that's doing the search? And how prominent is your business? Does Google trust your business? Can it find you in lots of other places? And does it recognize you as your brand authoritative? And again, this should be nothing new to anyone within the Breakout Group, but just to reiterate the point that if you're not on page one, you're not in the hunt for a client. And there's only three ways to get there. One is to buy ads. For local search, and I'll just differentiate between the two, the local pack is incredibly important for local businesses because around 44% of all organic traffic will come through that pack. And organic search results delivers a huge amount of overall organic traffic to customers that are trying to sell either locally or on a national basis. But they're the only three ways. And if you're on page two, you might bump into Jimmy Hoffa because that's where he's buried. The checklist for success for publishing. We've really boiled it down to four key things. after several years of testing and trials and really getting our products into what we believe is a really great shape. The first thing you need is an accurate business profile. Make sure your business is published in a consistent and accurate way across many authoritative sites that Google trusts. If you've got a website, great, but you can also complement that with optimized landing pages that can be campaign-based. They can target very specific keywords and locations, and they should ultimately complement your existing digital assets. For local and national businesses, it's really important to have an optimized business, Google business profile. It's one of the core things that Google's looking at. It's your brand. It's how it recognizes what you are as a business. And third-party validation, this is an interesting one. Consumers will often have a lot more trust if your content or your information is being published on a third-party site. It's almost like it's a degree of independence from you saying you're good, it's somebody else saying you're good. So yeah, publishing content or articles on third parties we think is a very good idea. And here we go, publishing products that we're offering in 2025. Well, it really all starts with unique, authentic business content, and I can't stress that enough. It is how the search engines understand who you are and what you offer. So it's worthwhile spending the time on really carefully curating that authentic content for your website. And if you look at our core product groups, there are really 4 areas that we are focused on. The first is listings, and you'll see in coming slides there are a couple of different offerings that we have there. So these are the broad product groups, and within each of these groups there'll be some different types of products that fall into that category. Listings, we have listing syndication solutions, which enables businesses to publish onto lots of different platforms, directories, apps, voice, and so forth. And we also receive listings. So we have a bulk listing solution where on our own assets, we get paid by citation management companies to publish their business listings on their clients' behalf. Landing pages, we really believe that we've got this into a very, very strong position. We're confident that we can essentially rank pretty much any keyword in any market now with the evolution of our entity-based technology in combination with our SEO technology, which is something that we've spent a lot of time and money to build. The local pack, again, this is a very important component more so for local businesses, we find. And proper optimization of that is essential if you want to have any degree of prominence in that local pack. And also to expand that presence is something which is highly valuable. Some businesses find they can rank highly right where their business is, but of course their customers are coming from a 10, 15, 20 mile radius, and oftentimes their prominence decreases the further out from the business people are searching. And the other alternative is the other product group we have is articles, and we have a couple of different options there which I'll get into more detail about. But ultimately the product goal for any of these products is to generate prominence for that business in online search. So that's really what it boils down to. Let's go through the products. The business listing syndication. In our opinion, and from what we know through research, business listing syndication is really a foundational piece of any digital solution that a company wants to put in place. Now, what we say to clients is you don't expect any leads from this. What you need to do is publish your business information in a consistent and accurate way onto many third-party sites that have authority in Google's eyes. They don't tend to rank very well. You're not going to typically see many of these on page 1, but that's not its real purpose from a publishing or SEO perspective. What this does is it gives trust signals to the search engines that your business is real, that your name, address, and phone number are consistent, and it can be found on lots of places that the search engines trust. So that's why that's important. We also have a bulk listing product. So as you guys will all know, We do own a number of publishing assets, such as Hotfrog, AussieWeb, Pink Pages, and a number of others. So companies that specialise in citation management or the bulk publishing of business listings, they are looking to get their clients' information onto as many endpoints as possible. So we actually play on both sides of the fence here. So not only do we act as a citation management business ourselves, we also have assets that these citation management companies pay us to publish their content onto. And we have around about 20 or so partners in that space. This is going to be really important as we go forward in terms of what our intentions are for the 2025 calendar year. Landing pages. The humble old landing page we think is an incredibly powerful product, and we've noticed a strong uptick in interest in recent times, both from direct customers and from larger industry groups and bodies, for example, in real estate and home services, that are looking to get an edge in the market by having deploying landing pages that will rapidly gain prominence for their specialties, their services and products in hyper-local areas. So what we do, we can use that same business content that you put into our platform to publish out onto third-party directories and so forth, and repurpose that and create landing pages that are pre-built for ranking for whatever it is that you want to rank for. The great thing with these landing pages is that we've already built in the core SEO capabilities that will enable it to rank. The customer can then put whatever content they want into the pages, because they can't impact, because we've locked down the site structure or the SEO site structure. They can't really damage any of that. And the content itself is not generally a ranking factor. So they can publish whatever content, videos and so forth that they want to ensure gets engagement with the customer. So the really important thing to understand here is that SEO is for ranking, and then content is for conversion. So we will bring the horse to the water, and then we encourage the client to have as much engaging content as they can on the page to ensure that they get the consumer engagement that they're looking for. This is another really exciting product, the local pack boosting capability. So what we do here is that we help generate prominence in the immediate location in the local pack for a particular business. And then once that prominence is gained, we can expand that prominence to a much wider area. Typically, I'm not sure if I should use miles or kilometers, but let's just go with kilometers. 5, 10, 15, even up to 20 kilometers, we can sort of impact that. So this is really a product that is great for any business that's looking to increase its map pack prominence. And the major competitive advantage we have is that when you combine this local pack technology with our landing pages, you can really target the keywords that you're going after for your business, and gain prominence not just for one, but for multiple keywords in your immediate area. Articles. You would have seen through recent announcements that we've won some pretty nice contracts that are article related. And again, here we have a couple of different options. One, we're building out our own publishing assets, which of course have our SEO technology baked into those assets. And it's essentially the same core technology that drives our landing pages and other things that we do. So it's not really new, it's just a different application of the technology that we've spent years and millions of dollars building out. We see that there's a tremendous opportunity in niche content markets where we can publish articles, potentially dozens to hundreds of articles for a single business category, which gives that publishing asset tremendous contextual relevance. And with our SEO technology giving those articles a boost, we can really get some good prominence for those categories. And in addition to that, in the first quarter of 2025, we're going to be able to white label that for our partners as well. So publishing partners or media companies or any type of business that wants to run articles off their own website, they'll be able to do that via a subdomain. So all the technology is all sitting on our platform, so we control it, we manage it, and we're essentially publishing everything, but under their brand. So there's two kind of options there. One, publishing single or multiple articles on assets that we own, or secondly, deploying an article solution which enables a client to publish multiple articles related to their business on their own subdomain. And we think that gives a tremendous choice for customers. And excitingly, we have been testing generative AI. And going back to that unique, authentic content, we've built out an AI tool that can go and interrogate the business listing content that we're provided with by our customers, and we can produce an article that will pass all of the AI tests and rank very quickly for the target keywords. So we're particularly excited about that. So watch this space over the next 3 to 6 months on that front. All of these products are backed by incredibly in-depth reporting and analytics. All of the reporting is directly connected to a customer's Google Search Console or Google Analytics. So all of the data that's pulled into our dashboard is basically pulled from the ultimate source, which is Google. We measure not just the keywords that the customer is particularly chasing, but also all of the other keywords that naturally come in as a result of their digital assets gaining prominence in search. Of course, we measure things like impressions, clicks, and click-through rates. If somebody is working with us on their GBP or Google Business Profile, we measure every map interaction, whether it's a call, a click for directions, or whatever it may be. The bottom line is there's an incredible amount of data that can give the client confidence that the product is doing what it says it's going to do. Okay, so what are our objectives for 2025? Automation. All of these products have been tried and tested and have proven to be successful in the key markets in which we operate, which is primarily Canada or United States and also Australia. We're focused in those areas because they're very big markets, and we don't want to spread our resources too thin. So with the automation, and I'll get into what the intention there is in a moment, we've already got quite a sizable client base that we can tap into to offer these solutions to. And I'm specifically talking about landing pages and articles. So we've got existing API partners. So we're intending to automate the production of these products by the end of the March quarter of 2025. We're also targeting industry groups, and what I mean by that is large single focus groups, whether it be real estate or mortgage brokers, home services, whatever it may be, that want to offer a local marketing solution for the many franchisees or locations that they support, and also dealing with large marketing agencies. So again, this is a slightly different take on the industry groups. This is going and working with the marketing agencies that work with multi-location businesses. There's a lot more bang for our buck if we do that. And in terms of traction, as I mentioned, in terms of the API partners, we have quite a number, around 20 or so, that are already connected into our publishing API. Industry groups, we have started work with a couple of very sizable groups in the US, which are going live with solutions by the end of the year. And we're also working with a couple of decent sized marketing agencies that have multi-locations both here in Australia and in the US. And this is the key project for us for 2025 in terms of what our objective is. It's to really automate that 4-step process to gaining prominence in local search, but also national search. But taking that content, streamlining the process to syndicate that business listing of the customer onto all of those different endpoints that I talked about, using that same data to create landing pages for those customers and deploy those in a fairly automated way, and also to plug that same information into the local pack. The 5th step there is to create articles, and as I say, we've tested that, we know it works, and now it's I guess time to deploy that in 2025. The other core product objective for 2025 is to build or buy more publishing assets. So we can build the assets, and we have quite a, I guess, a roadmap for different content-based sites that we're going to be building in the finance industries, the real estate, also in health. They're on the roadmap for early 2025. But also we want to be opportunistic. If there are websites out there that we can see have great potential, great content, but their actual SEO structure is not ideal, that we can, if by acquiring it, can improve on that and drive more traffic, then we can increase the revenue that site generates through either advertising or selling more articles on that. So again, the client base is fairly similar. We have a very sizable existing media partner in the US that we're working with, and we've commenced deployment there in the December quarter, which we're particularly excited about, and that should drive the creation of a number of those publishing assets that I've just talked about. Once we've got some decent case studies there, and we can talk to the market with great confidence across a number of categories that we've been successful in, then of course we're going to go and target other media organizations. And in this instance, the search engines have done us a huge favor, because many large media companies are now no longer able to publish advertorial content on their main websites because it's deemed as site abuse. Our product provides a plug and play solution, which they can run articles on a subdomain on their existing sites, or they can engage us to build a standalone site, and we will operate that on their behalf. And the third thing we're looking to do is the acquisitions, which is the buying. So looking opportunistically at sites that might pop up that are of interest. There we go. That's a product overview and a little bit of a insight into what we're planning to do in 2025 with those products. So Josh, I'm more than happy to take any questions from the floor.
Excellent, fantastic presentation. Bryan, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. So Gavin, you spoke about the ways in which you're looking to target the market, but at this point in time, you're very lean in terms of your staffing. And so can you kind of expand on that in terms of, is there a certain area that you're hitting first, or because of the fact that you have various partners, you have resellers, or are you able to kind of roll out a number of different things kind of concurrently, or how do you look at it from, I'll say, resource management, prioritization, opportunity?
Well, that was more than one question. I'll do my best.
Yep.
No, that's a question. No, so in terms of resources, where I do see that we need to bolster up is funnily enough more on the technical side, so deployment. The reason for going after these larger deployments is that you get a lot more bang for your buck. If you get one client that's got, say, 15 or 20,000 end customers that we can provide automated solutions for, that's a lot easier than trying to sell to 15,000 individual businesses. Of course, we'd like more feet on the ground in terms of sales. So that's something we will be looking at, but not in the immediate quarter. We have more than enough opportunities in front of us that it's more important in the short term to close out on those, deliver them, and get the results for those. Our SEO and production teams do need a little bit of bolstering, and I'd be I think the other areas include marketing. It'd be great to have some additional marketing expertise in-house to look after the things that we probably don't do as well as we could, such as social media and things like that. So that'd be my response to that question. Hopefully that covers it for you.
Sure. So as you look at kind of the 4 steps, enhancing kind of the business profile, the syndication, the landing pages, boosting through MapPack, do you have certain products that you are more enamored with that you think are more sellable? How do you view, I'll say, each of these offerings and how you're positioned going into 2025?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably the three that sort of capture the imagination the most from customers. It's the landing pages that often provides that sort of beachhead opportunity. And when customers discover that they can rank fairly quickly for keywords in certain locations, that opens up the conversation into other areas where, listings we explain are really the fundamental foundation, and you need that in place. So that often becomes a component of the package that we offer. And then, articles is fairly new. I do see that as being a big part of our business in 2025. Then the local pack, which is probably the least scalable of those three, because there's no getting around the fact that there is some degree of human interaction required to optimize those and boost them. So yeah, the landing pages are the great conversation starter for any client, and then other products will certainly emerge from that in the sales process. The other products that we had that we have de-emphasized were the ones which have a great deal of human resource required to deploy and maintain and manage. So we're really focusing on those products that require a lot less human involvement and a far greater degree of automation and scale.
Very, very good. So I'm gonna press you on. You have kind of the combination products that we've walked through as far as the business description, syndication landing pages, map pack. Do you view that as potentially a larger revenue generator than articles, or do you feel that articles could be, or is that where you expect to be the primary revenue generator for you in 2025?
Well, those first three products kind of come as a package, and articles will, I think, more so be a standalone. So they're kind of they're really in two sort of broad areas. We've already got a contract in place for articles, which we're working very hard to maximize the revenue for that. And if we do well there, you've already got some idea as to the size of what that opportunity presents in terms of the initial rollout. On the other front, so without sort of getting into too much detail around pricing or anything like that, but you can kind of do the sums if a large industry group, say, bought thousands of landing page products for their franchisees or agents or whatever the case may be, that represents very sizable revenue, and that's the kind of business that we're going after. Those large industry bodies or groups that have got a drive to get more prominence for their local members, their local agents, their local brokers, whatever the case may be. And that's highly scalable for us, because typically the template for each of those will be the same, because it's branded in the way of the client. The keywords and so forth will be largely the same. We're not tweaking a hell of a lot of content. So to answer your question, I think broadly there's two areas. One, the local publishing, which includes the listings and landing pages and potentially the local pack. And the second one is the articles. And sometimes they might do both, but hopefully that answers your question.
Sure. So sticking with articles for a moment. So you have the large media deal that you've put the press release out on. Do you feel you have to perform on that and show potential customers your success with that? Or do you feel you're capable of, getting new business and similar type of partners at this point?
Look, I think the honest answer there is, we did prove ourselves before when we were boosting articles on that particular customer's own assets. And we had the case studies there. And of course, when those options were no longer available to them, they turned to us and engaged us to do standalone article production. In my experience, in having dealt with a lot of customers in many markets, they want to see the evidence, like what does it do, what has it done. Almost every customer you talk to wants a proof of concept, even though you've got loads of examples there. So I honestly do think the smart and the best way to go, get the results on the board, get the runs on the board, demonstrate that this has worked very well in key markets for very difficult business categories, and then go to those customers with those potential new customers, with a solution which is rock solid, proven, and we don't have to go through the process again of more proof of concept, because there it is. There are your proof of concepts.
And if you are, I'll say, pushed to do a proof of concept, what is the typical duration of time to be able to?
Yeah, that's it's 90 days. There's really no getting around that sort of 90-day period. And if a customer says we only want to do 30, we'd typically walk away, because when you do any new deployment, Google can often take between 21 to 30 days just to recognize that your site exists, that it's been indexed, and that, to understand what it even might be all about. And it's in the second and third month as we build that authority, that it's called brand authority. Brand authority is how much does Google trust your domain for the keywords that you're trying to target. So the first 30 days, we're building up the trust of that brand, whatever it is, whatever that domain is. And then in the second sort of month and third month, we're starting to target keywords that we connect to that brand. So anything less than 90 days would be, would not, you're just not going to see the results. And that's still way faster than pretty much anything else you'll see out there, which would typically be 6 to 12 months to get some sort of traction.
Sure. And when you were speaking of, building or acquiring assets, if we just focus on the build side of it, would that refer to, something such as Localista, or are there other ways in which you would be able to build assets?
Oh, no, no, it specifically refers to building out our own assets. So we've built out our own publishing assets. And I guess it's worth pointing out at this point too, you might have seen that sort of that shift in the way we're presenting to be published. We've been in the publishing game for years. That's how we started. So it's not new. We're just applying, we're building out more of our own assets because it gives us so much more control. If customers don't pay, or we can turn them off. We have complete control over those assets. So what we've done, Bryan, is we've built out a directory structure and an article structure. And if you think about how most publishing assets for news companies or media companies are, you've got the article component, and you often have some type of directory component for individual businesses. It's as old as history. Newspapers have content, and they had the classifieds. So we've now got that structure which we've built ourselves, and yes, we've applied that to deployments like Localista. So that's one example, but in that case, that's all running on their domains. So with the assets that we're building out, they're going to typically have that combination of articles and directories. The big advantage we have there as well is we've got 60 million plus listings across pretty much any business category you can think of. So we can carve out, let's just say we wanted to do something in the finance industry. I don't know the exact number of finance industry related listings we have, but it would be a lot. So we can easily create a contextually relevant directory for finance, for health, for pretty much any business category you can think of, which provides the foundation of the publishing asset that we would build. We then add our article application, which enables anyone in that industry to create and publish an article on that particular site. So that's the build component. And this isn't guesswork. It's something we've taken a lot of time and effort and money to produce, and we're very confident that will work. And on the buy side, which might be your next question, if I can read your paper in front of you, we'd be looking at high value advertising sectors or categories that, where the property, whatever category it's in, finance or health or whatever, has good content, but struggling from, potentially different penalties. Penguin, because they've put too many toxic links on the site, or Panda, because they've duplicated their site structure in a bad way. They're things that we can fix. And if we can fix it, get the traffic back to where it was, one, we're going to generate more money from AdSense or advertising revenues with other advertising partners. And secondly, the articles will have more value because the properties have more authority and more traffic. So.
And I'm going to come back to buy assets, which is on the piece of paper in front of me. But staying on the build part just for a moment. So with the Localista, it's been a period of time now since you acquired those assets. Can you talk about where you are in the monetization process of those assets?
Yeah. So in terms of the Localista assets, one was a project to provide SEO optimization and recommendations to the client, which we've done, and that's been delivered. There was a little hiccup in their deployment, so we've helped them rectify that. So that will be going live on their side, hopefully before Christmas, but maybe just after. On the Scoop asset, with these other projects that we've won, and as you pointed out earlier, our team is fairly lean. We've deprioritized doing too much work on that in favor of these larger article projects that we've won, which have got a much higher return for us. So that's where our efforts have been focused in the last quarter, which we've done our best to try and relay through the releases that we have put out. So that's the absolute honest answer on that. We've got to prioritize where we think we're going to get the biggest return for our effort.
And on the buy side, are there assets out there that can be had for the cheap, for a very inexpensive price, or do you have to essentially wait until you feel you have the currency to make the type of acquisition you'd like to make?
Yeah, I believe there are, from the research we've done. Those assets. The problem that many of those publishers have, and this is not meaning to sound, like we know everything or anything like that, but a lot of the publishers that have produced these content-based sites have got into trouble through just a lack of SEO understanding. And as a result of that, the traffic that they might have typically had, say, a year or two ago, with the more recent algorithm updates, their sites have been hammered in terms of traffic. So the revenues that they would have been generating back in those days would have been a lot, and today they're a lot less. So we'd be looking to buy these on some multiple of revenue or profits, and that's going to be a lot lower number than what it would have been a year or so ago. And we know that we can turn those around by properly optimizing the structure, and then once we've done that, applying our SEO technology, which really does give it a nice boost. So long answer to a short question. Yes, I do think there are a number of assets out there, but again, it's a question of focus and so forth. So that's something we're looking at in 2025, but we would need a few more resources on board to properly be able to take advantage of those opportunities.
All right, very good. So Florian has been using this time to come up with much more intelligent and complex questions. So I will hand it over to Florian for what he may have.
Are you telling me they're the easy ones?
Exactly.
I'm going to be extra short. Gavin, on the deal you recently announced with the big media publisher, it says up to 6.5 million in potential revenue. Can you talk a little bit about what is necessary to get there? How should we think about the likelihood of getting to that number, or how should we sort of judge that? And I think it's too early to tell if there's any meaningful progress, since you have said it's about 90 days. But is is your partner or your client now waiting for results to move on, or are the next articles already being implemented, or how should we think about that?
Okay, so the way we're building these out is that we're creating. Bear in mind these sites are being built from scratch. So what we're doing is we've acquired age domains, so the domains that have authority in the particular business categories that this customer previously published articles in. The first thing we're doing is building out a directory for whatever the category is, and that builds the brand, and it also gives contextual relevance to the content that we're about to publish. So our objective in the first 30 to 45 days there is to build out a brand new asset that we are able to build the brand authority for the particular business category that we're aiming to do. Once we have a few key things in place, and I don't want to divulge what they are, but they are some very particular things we look for from an SEO perspective that kick into play. Once they have become apparent, then we publish the articles, and we should see, based on that, those articles will start to rank for the keywords that they're targeting. We don't want to do the second or third or fourth until we've nailed that process. But having said that, in the background, we are already building out the other directory components of those websites so that they're ready, so that once we've got the traction that we're anticipating with the first category, which, by the way, is probably the most difficult business category to rank for. I won't say what it is, but the keyword difficulty is anywhere between 98 and 100. So we're not talking about simple stuff. That and it's also incredibly valuable. So once we've nailed that, then other categories should be a lot simpler as well. So hopefully that answers your question. The value of that contract, basically how that was surmised, we looked at, well, what was the total volume of articles that were previously being published, and should they all return, what would that look like for us, to be transparent. I certainly can't breach any confidence in terms of any of the commercials with the customer, but you can appreciate that any press releases we put out have to go through a pretty rigorous legal process, and which they did.
And is there any further potential with this big client beyond the sort of immediate contract that you are having in place?
I believe so. But first things first, our immediate objective is to make sure we nail the opportunity that I'm not going to say given, that we worked hard to earn. And once we've done that, then it would make sense that if we deliver what they believe we can deliver and what we believe we can deliver, then it would open up other opportunities. But bear in mind too, Florian, they are one publisher in a market which was, you only have to look at some of the names, and you can do your own research on that as to some of the publishers that had their sites deemed as being site abusive by Google back in early 2024. They're household names, so I'm sure those other publishers will be keen to look at solutions that will bring that revenue back to them.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How many similar publishers are there, or are there sort of more in reach for you? Have you maybe had conversations or reached out to some of them, or give us a sense of the opportunity maybe? Is it tens of other publishers of a similar size, or is it more like 5, or?
Well, they're one of the 10 biggest in the world, so their size. There's only 9 others that would be as big. No, but in all seriousness, so there are hundreds of publishers that have that publish articles, and if it's advertorial based, well, they simply cannot do that anymore through their folder structure. And for those I'm not trying to be too technical there, but you've got your domain, and then everything that is to the right of that is what's called the folder structure. And where these publishers or media companies got into strife with the search engines was publishing what was deemed to be not relevant content in amongst their editorial content. So linking out to things that were not related to the news. So what we do is we publish that content on the subdomain, which is to the left of the www, or the left of the domain. So without getting into too much detail. So yet, Florian, there are a large number. To answer your question in terms of have we approached these guys in earnest? No, we haven't. There is a couple that we've had initial conversations with, but our absolute focus is to make sure we nail this opportunity. And it's a lot of work. You know, it's not like we had to start from scratch building a brand new asset because we're not able to leverage their assets anymore. We have to do it ourselves. So it's not an insignificant task.
Gavin, just to expand on that a little bit further. So when you are building out these assets for these specific categories, I think the beauty of you guys owning these assets are when you approach future potential customers, the rebuild on categories you already have doesn't have to take place, correct? You're just starting to add additional articles to that. So while the initial build out right now is not slow, but it takes time, right, to build these out. As you start to have these categories in place, theoretically, every additional customer you bring on is that much easier because that asset exists. The domain authority is there. It's just throwing their articles on. And theoretically, the actual response in terms of when those articles start to be given prominence in search should be quicker, correct?
100% correct, Josh. That is exactly, couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, no, you're dead right. Once that authority is there and the domain authority kicks back in, then adding articles, you should typically then see results within the first 30 days because, like you say, all the initial heavy lifting has been done. Yeah.
Gavin, just to follow up with the media company, and you were talking about, I'll say, this more difficult first category, and the prep work you're doing for the next category. If we're just speaking about that next category, when could potentially that get, I'll say, prepped for, have its prominence that is required for you to kind of roll that one out? Is that something that's 30 days away, or what's the time frame on that?
The next two categories which we've started building, and these three categories collectively represent about 80% of the immediate opportunity. So that's where we're focusing again our efforts on those three categories. Those directory components should be deployed before the end of January. We're already well advanced in building them, and we're able to use the same structure that we've determined for the directory component of the first one that we've built, and we've published the first directory, which I think went live at the beginning of December. I don't want to say what that URL is, if that's okay, but it was deployed at the beginning of December.
And at what point is it clear how much you're going to get paid or how many articles stay live, which you're getting paid for?
We'll know more about that towards the end of January, Florian. There's the honest answer there. That's what we're working towards. First thing is to get the foundation right, get the authority up for the site, get the contextual relevance, then publish the articles. And then to Josh's point before, we've done the hard yards. The articles should pop into prominence because of the authority of the main site and the relevance.
But it's still a very nice pace, because if we think about it, that would mean by the end of January, you have already 80% of this very, very significant contract for you implemented.
Yep. So to be clear, then the articles for the first category would be done, and we should be seeing results then. The directory component of the next two will be deployed at that point in time. And again, the huge advantage we've got is we've already got the business listings. We can repurpose those for other, these directories. So it's a big advantage we have. then I think it'll be in the February-ish timeframe that we would start to receive the additional articles. Would be, I think, a reasonable cadence. However, once it's proven, then that's when the fun starts, I think, because then they'll want to, who wouldn't want to publish more?
And what is the time? How much time does the end client have to say, yes, I'm happy with these results and let's roll?
Yeah, good question. Again, we typically put in a 90-day. Say, look, this is the time frame to expect. But given the value of this category, I suspect they're willing to be patient if it's not within that 90 days for whatever reason. And again, bear in mind, I'm not exaggerating when I say it is a 100% keyword difficulty category. There's only a few like that in the market. So, we're doing everything we can to make that a success. And if it takes an extra 30 days or so, I don't think the customer would or should be upset about that, because the prize is large. It's a very, very lucrative category.
And on that topic, and a question just came in on this, it's perfect timing. The reason they want to get those articles up there, and you've talked about this in the past, but just want to confirm, the average duration those articles are live is typically in the months, years. How long are those articles generally active and live if they're ranking and prominent?
Oh, many months, in some cases years. Everyone's read these articles where they go, the best blah, blah, blah of 2022, of 2023. I've seen that a number of the articles that have been provided to us have been repurposed over a few years. So I can't give you an honest answer as to the average. I don't know. But I will say that, if they're working, then they'll be up for many, many months.
Excellent.
So I think we just have a few more minutes if anyone else had any questions for Gavin.
Yep, feel free to throw them in the chat if you do.
Gavin, again, maybe on those articles, is it going to be a question for every single article if it's going to stay live with you, or how granular is your client going to be in that regard? Or are they just going to say, oh yeah, it works really well, we keep those 500 articles, or just pulling out a number? Or is it really article by article that they're going to make that trade-off to keep you engaged?
It'll be more article by article, but bear in mind that there's a few links in the chain here. You've got marketing agencies that have customers. So those marketing agencies might represent a large number of articles. They might have an individual client that's running a dozen or more articles. So, but they would be looking at the performance of each article individually. And each article has a very specific purpose, a very specific keyword that it's going after. So that's what they're going to judge the performance on, is does it rank for what they're wanting it to rank for.
Another one from the chat, Gavin. In terms of the process to actually get these articles into the product that you guys are offering, whether it's white label or via assets that you own,
Yep.
Let's say I'm a customer, I'm actively working with you, I bring you a new article, I send you the article, and for the most part, is that fairly automated? You guys plug it into your system and go, or, what does that look like? How much effort is there to have that feed of articles being, inputted into the system?
Yeah, no, great question. And again, this is something that we've spent a lot of time building out so that it is as automated as possible. So what happens, the article comes in, it's usually in a finished form or close to finished form with all of the content, the images, the video, and the links that they're wanting to link out to. The first step in the process is to do a content review. So now that we have the responsibility of being the publisher, we need to take responsibility for the content that's published on assets we own. So the first pass is to review the content to make sure there's nothing untoward, there's no obvious errors or things like that. If there are, it goes back to the client to fix. And if there's not, then it proceeds on to the SEO review, where our SEO team will actually review and make sure that the SEO components of the article are all in good shape. And if that's all go, then it's publish at that point. And that's when we get paid, once the publish button is clicked. So at any point in that process, if there's an issue, if there's a content review, it goes back to the client. If the content's fine, but the SEO team see that there's an issue with the header or something like that, it'll go back to the client and back through the contents and then SEO again. So, typically there shouldn't be too much to worry about, but we do need to cast an eye over the articles and make sure they're going to do what they're intended to do. That's a really good question.
One more question from the chat. As you were talking about the current asset build out with the specific categories, are you happy with the progress that you guys are making? Are you seeing the initial results on the domain authorities and how that is heading towards obviously being able to get those articles on there?
The domain authority typically takes, so we know what the DA was on this site, this particular site. It was just under 60 when we acquired it. That's the historical domain authority. So yes, the domain authority is a measure that doesn't really kick back in or get recognized for about 90 to 120 days. Doesn't mean to say that the things that we're looking for aren't working. So the first thing that we're looking for, yes, that kicked into gear about 7 or 8 days ago. So that's a fantastic sign. That is, the brand is being recognized in Google. So that's a big win. The second thing we're looking for, I won't get into the detail of that, but we're anticipating that will kick in any day now, based on the fact that the brand. So yeah, the first thing has happened. We're very grateful for that. Many of the directory listings have been indexed, and that's great again. And we're talking about, there are thousands of pages here. It's not a small implementation. So there's at least half of those have been indexed now. So that's a very positive sign.
Excellent. All right. I think unless there's any last questions from Bryan, Florian, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat. We're coming right up on the hour here. So
Gavin, apart from the things you have talked about, what else is there to look forward for investors in the next couple of months? Anything that you would highlight?
Well, the main focus is on getting those articles right. There's a couple of proof of concepts that one of them goes live this week, which I'm particularly excited about. But no, I think we've covered off the main things that that we're doing. And for a little team, I think there's quite a bit there that we're delivering on. And so, but watch this space. As soon as we're able to say something about the deployment, we will.
excellent. All right. With that, thank you very much, Gavin, for the time. Excellent presentation. Thanks for the Q&A, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Some or all the speakers may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast. The views in this podcast expressed are those of the speakers and not Breakout investors. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Neither Breakout investors nor any of its affiliates makes any representation or warranty, express or implied, as to the accuracy or completeness of the statements or any information presented by this podcast and any liability, including in respect of direct, indirect, or consequential loss or damage. Therefore, is expressly disclaimed. No one on this podcast is an investment advisor. No one is providing investment advice. Before investing in any company's stock, you must do your own research. Thank you for listening.